Welcome. I'm here with Vanessa, the Guinness World Book Record holder for Casper the Ghost Collectibles. We are extremely grateful to actually have you here with us so we can speak to you, find out what it actually means to be the Guinness World Book Record holder for Casper the Ghost Collectibles, because it's very interesting. So how we actually connected was Vanessa sent us and dropped a comment on one of our posts, and I was like, that's super interesting. The world record holder for Casper the Ghost. And went to go and look at her profile, and I was just completely blown away. Because I couldn't picture it. So I started looking at your videos, and slowly I started picturing what it actually means. And it's something that never thought I'd actually see. Especially since when I was a kid, I used to watch Casper the Ghost cartoons, read comic books. So yeah, really thankful that you able to take the interview with us.
I appreciate you wanting to talk with me, hear my story, and, see this ghost.
Well, again, thanks for being here. We're going to start off with a very simple question, but probably the most crucial one. And that is, did you actually get started with collecting Casper the Ghost, and what makes him so special to you?
Well, the first time that I saw him, I was 5 years old, and I was watching a cartoon channel where they show the late night cartoons, and it's usually all of the oldies and stuff. So I remember watching Popeye, Jetsons, and all that other stuff, and they would show Harvey cartoons where I did see Baby Huey and stuff. But I remember specifically Casper the Ghost. And back then, he looked like a little floating plastic bag. He didn't have feetsies yet, but he was just a little floating guy with, when cartoons are running away, they have like a stick. They're holding a stick with like a fabric. And he was just like getting away from all of the ghosts that were wanting him to scare. And he's like, I just want to be friends. And so he was running away. And I remember all those cartoons. And then right then and there, at such a young age, I was like, I felt so much sympathy for him, but then I also saw myself in him of being different from my peers. For me, at 5 years old, it was my family, different from everybody, pushed aside, the black sheep, all that kind of stuff, as what they call. So, like, I saw myself in Casper. I saw that Casper would have been my best friend because in the cartoons, he would go and befriend all of the misfit children, animals, the ones that, were bullied or something like that. He would defend them and be like, "Hey, don't hurt my friend." So, I was like, "Hey, Casper would do that for me. If somebody's hurting me in family dynamic or something like that, Casper will be right there like, "Hey, don't hurt my friend." So, I just loved him so much. And then back then, how I would start collecting was at the dollar stores, they would have the VHS tapes of old cartoons, and you would get them for a plain old dollar back then. And I would always remember going to the dollar stores with my grandfather, and he would always buy me the Casper tapes because I would ask him for the Casper tapes. And I have an example here of what the tapes would look like. So it would just be like a
Wow.
simple
Yeah.
VHS where there isn't much tape in it. So you have, like, a little bit of cartoons, like, not even 30 minutes. There's, like, 3 cartoons in this V
Oh,
so this is what they would look like. I have, like, a whole shelf of cartoons of Casper. A lot of them have the same cartoons in them, but all of the covers are different since and hence that makes it like individual different items for the Guinness World Record. So I have, all the cartoons, and I would start collecting these at 5 years old because it was the only thing I knew of. Like, there was no eBay for me to look for Casper things, and then there wouldn't be anything Casper at stores, just stuff like this. So this is the stuff I started with, and then whenever I was 8, the Casper movie came out, and it came out the same month as my birthday. And my great-grandma, she knew that I loved the little guy, so this is my first plush Casper.
wow.
His eyes glow in the dark. And this is the little guy that I would carry around. This was my comfort. And he seems so tiny right now compared to when I was a
Yeah.
little girl, but he was my comfort that I would be, hugging, at nights and stuff like that, and whenever I would be crying or upset, he would be the one that would be comforting me and stuff. It's just crazy to see him right now, how he's this tiny, but when I was a child, he was like the biggest thing in the world. So, I still cherish him so much. I'm so glad I still have him.
That's super amazing, actually. And if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't look like he has feet at all, right?
No, because
Or does he have?
in the movie,
Yeah.
he has a tail. That's the first time he was introduced with a tail was in the 1995 movie. Before all of that, all of the OG cartoons, he had feetsies.
That's interesting. That's actually a very interesting fact. And I was watching a Casper the Ghost cartoon recently, and there was this elephant, and this elephant was upsetting everyone because he was sneezing everywhere. So
Yes.
none of the animals wanted to wanted to play with the elephant, and then these monkeys started teasing the elephant, and then Casper told the monkeys leave him alone. Monkeys saw Casper and then they all ran away. But then Casper thought that it's very smart to tie the elephant's nose together so he can't sneeze. But then the elephant sneezed and his trunk grew bigger and then he floated up and then he like a balloon and then he came back down. Very funny episode, but vintage cartoons actually something I had quite a bit of as a kid. Also on VHS tapes had a bunch of not Looney Tunes like the old um what is it Popeye cartoons, then it was old Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, like all those old cartoons. Casper was also in the mix. So it's very interesting to see that VHS and also hear that they just literally changed the cover, but the cartoons are basically the same. It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, and what's so great about that elephant cartoon is the reason he was sneezing because there was a feather stuck inside of his trunk. And that at the end of the cartoon, all the animals thanked him for saving everyone because the forest got on fire. And thanks to the sneeze, it blew out the flames. So then after that,
Yes,
he kept the feather in and people appreciated him. So it's just funny on how the lessons that are taken from these cartoons and stuff like that of just accepting people, showing kindness, and there's no need to bully anybody because look at their special talents or special ways they can make the world a better place. And people should really
correct.
tune into Casper's ideals these days.
They should. And if that did happen, we'd start to understand people way better.
Exactly.
And and another thing that so you basically started collecting first VHS tapes, and then you got a bit older, and then you obviously started collecting like plush, Casper the Ghost plush, if I'm not mistaken, or where did it go to then?
Oh, so whenever the movie had came out and the merchandise started flowing, of course, I was like, "Hey, now I need everything that they make." So for school, I would have the lunch boxes, the backpack, the paper book covers. Back in the day, we used to cover
Yeah,
our
yeah.
books with paper covers. So they had Casper ones, and they had Casper pencils and lots of stuff school supplies wise. So I literally had everything head to toe of Casper. And so I started collecting all of that kind of stuff. They had the Casper candelabra that's, very popular now that people are like, oh, vintage Casper and stuff like that. I'm like, I've had it since I was little. I remember it broke and my grandfather had fixed it for me. So he's a little wobbly, but he's special. So that's whenever I was able to collect more things because that's when things would be in stores. Toys R Us, they
Yes.
would have Casper toys. So, and after the movie had came out, then the Spectacular New Adventures of Casper came out, which is a 90s cartoon series. And then those VHS tapes came out with those cartoons. And then other toys came out with all of that. So, with all of those things coming out, then I was starting able to collect all of that.
Yeah. That's actually super interesting. And another thing that what I find what's happening actually now in the collectible industry is a lot of brands is like you can see now with Pokemon, for example. Um, there's just Pokemon on everywhere. And I remember as a kid, there actually used to be a lot of, for some reason, even in South Africa, a lot of Casper the Ghost stationery sets and school bags and, like I said, lunch boxes, all these different things. And you really took me back when you spoke about covering the books. That was my that was my task always to do before the new school year started, and that was just a pain. I always begged my mom, "Can't we just get these stick?" It was like this like double-sided plastic that you could just tape on, but my mom said no, the plastic looks better. But it's very interesting to actually hear how you started and actually started very moderately, and then obviously it all grew to what you have now. And getting to that question, so how many collectibles do you own currently?
I'm at 1,883, I think.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
all in one room.
it's all in one room.
Wow, that's super interesting. And then obviously the next question is, not you said right?
Yes, I have one son.
Yeah. So do you keep the door closed? Because if I was a kid, I would want to be playing with everything in that room.
You know, it's amazing. Ever since he was extremely small, he never got into anything that he wasn't supposed to. So I started this when he was around 4, all of this room being a Casper collection and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And even then, he did not get into things. You know, he is a big Casper fan himself too, so he always took care of his stuff. If I'm able to find a duplicate, I was able to get him like his own Casper toy because he liked to play with the house of whip staff that I have here. He wanted to play with it, so I found one for him and he was satisfied. But he has never came in here and destroyed anything. I'm not saying my child is superior, but he sure is a great child for a collector to have because he has always been very delicate with things. And he will show his friends and be like, "You cannot touch anything." And he he comes in here a lot. We watch VHS tapes here because I still have my VCR. He's the only child I know that knows how to use a VCR, and
No, that's special.
yes! And so we like to watch Casper in here or other VHS tapes, old cartoons, and we just, like, cuddle up with Casper pillows and stuff like that, and it's just like a cozy, safe space, and he loves it. He's not afraid of all the ghosts and stuff like that looking. Even my husband loves coming in here, and he's all like, "You're never scared of all these eyes?" I'm like, "No, because 'cause they're friendly eyes. They are eyes that are not judging me. They are eyes that are comforting me. It's not like when I'm out there in the human world." So I built my own.
It's better than those. My sister used to collect those like porcelain dolls, and damn, those eyes were freaky because some of them look real, extremely real. And when you're like walking around in a room, you just like you can just feel these eyes all around you. But yeah, your son is much better than I was when I went to go and go to my grandparents, and my granddad collected a lot of weird things like he had vintage tools, vintage camera that I broke, vintage vinyls that I cracked, all by mistake. Yeah, I was just one of those kids that just wants to try everything. The one of the things I should have never tried was helping my granddad paint the home, and a massive bucket of paint just went all over the floor. When I'm talking about massive bucket, I'm trying to think what this bucket is in gallons, and I think it would be about 4.5 gallons round about there, which is 25 liters, but it was a massive bucket. So yeah, it's extremely good to hear that you get to enjoy your collection with your son, because that is something that I see, especially on our platform, that a lot of collectors love to do that with their kids. Like on our platform, we have a few fathers who open up sports cards with their kids. On, Twitter, there's this one guy that actually has a really cute YouTube show with his daughter where where him and his daughter open up Pokemon cards. So it's interesting to see that, and the older generation is what always gets the younger generation interested into collecting anything. That's another thing that we can see with collectors, especially a lot of people today actually started collecting because of their grandparents, either buying them something or getting them interested in what they were collecting. So it's really beautiful to see how you're able to actually enjoy everything with your son.
Yeah, and I know that this will be taken care of once I become an actual ghost too. So all is good.
Maybe you'll be in one of the dolls. And if I'm not mistaken, is that a Casper the Ghost Pez in your case? Do you have a Pez?
Two of them.
Wow, those are actually very, very cool. On Pawn Stars, one guy came in with the very first Casper the Ghost Pez still in its original box.
Oh my,
It was interesting, but then they gave him a very low ball offer, and he was very upset. He started swearing and left.
I
But that
mean,
is,
I guess.
ex-
Yeah,
and
I'll
it's
have to
what's
show
actually,
it to you.
yeah, that is extremely cool. Pez, that's another thing. As a kid, Pez was like on the top of every kid's list. In South Africa, they're very expensive. I'm not sure how much they were in the US, but the Goofy Pez for some reason is the one I could never find. I always wanted Goofy, but for some reason I could never find him here. Always found like Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse. Yes, everyone likes Mickey Mouse, but I like Goofy. But yeah, that's just, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Pez, so that's pretty cool to see. And yeah, let's get back to the questions. Hopefully, being a very good not in well, very good host over here. Sorry for anyone that's watching this and think I'm bad. It's my first one, so yeah, it'll get better. And so I'd like to actually know if you had to, so if someone had to ask you about your collection, what are a few items that you'd actually say are the most special ones to you?
Well, of course, I would say my Casper plush because, that's the one that is very sentimental and such because he's got me through a lot of hard times. And now I keep him behind glass right here, and he gets to view me from another way because now he's a collectible. But really great items that I have a few items that were given to the cast and crew of the Casper movie. I have a
Wow.
statue that was given to somebody, and I think she was part of the casting crew of casting the movie, because I looked up the name. I have a jacket that was given to the cast and crew, and I showed it to Jonah Pulte, who is Uncle Stretch, and he said that he had the same jacket too. So I was like, oh my gosh, so then it really was given to you guys. Awesome.
Are you
So
talking about the black jacket?
the what?
Is it a black jacket? Is
No,
it
it's
a
not a
black jacket?
no, it's
Not a black one. Tan. That's interesting. Yeah, because I saw a very old vintage Casper jacket, but it's like a black and red one in a baseball style jacket. Not sure what year it was from, but pretty cool as well. It's like with a big Casper on the back. Just actually find it to you and send a picture of it. Yeah, that's actually super. So that was the actual jackets that the crew wore on set.
Yes, so I was really glad to snag that one up. And most importantly, I have 4 movie props that were filmed in the movie. So I have 2 of the
Wow.
newspapers that were up in the attic scene with Casper and Kat whenever Casper was remembering how he had passed away. So those newspapers that were spread on the floor, I have 2 of those. And then just last week I acquired and I just framed them yesterday. Two I have the 2 papers that were part of the deed in the beginning of the movie where Kerrigan and Dibbs she like tossed it in the fire, and then they read Buccaneers and buried gold, Whipstaff doth the treasure hold. I have those 2 papers. I can grab them because I have the frame right here. The newspaper ones are on the wall. I'll have to show you that later. But here are the two papers
Wow.
and the certificates of authenticity, and I printed out the pictures on the bottom from the scene.
That's actually super interesting. Props from movies that are actually used in movies are truly special. That's actually extremely unique
Yeah.
because you won't. You're obviously not going to find that ever again.
No, oh my god. And somebody was trying to outbid me on those. I'm like, "Trust me, man, you don't like Casper more than me. These are gonna be in the right place." I was like, "Please." My husband flipped whenever he found out the total because, auction house fees, shipping, and all the other
Yeah.
extra stuff. And I was like, "Ugh." And, people always ask me, what's your most expensive item in the collection? It used to be something else, but now it's these. So
Wow.
there's that.
It's actually interesting, and to what's extremely interesting to me is when you actually get to well, obviously it's framed now. I'm not sure if you actually touch the item, but feeling the presence of what that item actually represents is what makes it so special. It's that the story behind it, and the emotional attachment from the person that wants it is where collectibles truly get its value from. If it wasn't for that, not many collectibles would be worth anything. And that's the beauty of it. It's the nostalgic emotional attachment we have to these items. And like my dad said, why would people pay this ridiculous amount for like a vintage Pokemon card or something like that? And I told him it's just because you have this nostalgic emotional attachment to it from when you were a kid. You're getting older now. You want to have something that represents what you loved as a kid. Now we have adult money,
Yes, that's the thing.
not pocket, not small little allowance or anything. So we're able to get these things, and at the end of the day, if they're preserved as well in the right manner, they're going to hold its value. They're going to possibly go up in value, and more importantly, they're able to go to another generation to be able to enjoy it. Because a lot of people have these amazing collectibles, but they don't preserve it right. Like, for example, some people put signatures in frames, and then they take the frame and they put the frame near a window where a lot of light goes through. But if you don't have the right, you're not supposed to actually use glass. If I'm not mistaken, it's a certain type of plexiglass you should be using that actually protects the signature from UV rays that actually starts to go very light. And if you just don't do it right, even though it's preserved, then it's completely ends up into trash. And a collection like yours that's clearly preserved correctly, that is going to be extremely interesting, especially when Casper turns 100 years old. Is what it's. I can't even imagine just how many collectibles you'll actually have by then, because that's going to be quite an interesting milestone.
Oh
Hopefully
gosh.
all year then. But that brings me to another question. When did the world first see Casper?
Well, Casper was first thought up in 1939, and his concept was completely different than what anybody had seen. He had like some sort of like stump nose, or it looked like a tree stump. He had this little nose, and it looked like he was wearing some sort of like beanie hat or something like that. So,
No way.
yeah, he had his own. It was like, that's not Casper, but it was Casper. So Joe Oriolo, he thought of doing a friendly ghost because his little girl was scared, and he wanted to like give her something, be like a comfort and stuff. Like, look, not all
Yeah.
ghosts are scary and stuff. So he started doing that comic or drawing of Casper, and then he first came out in the comic books soon after, and then the cartoons like at 1945. So
That's interesting.
yeah, and that's I have some of the old comics. But I would love like the very first one that goes like for $5,000 on eBay. That's
Oh,
I
wow.
can't do. But that's a bucket list item. But
Yeah.
he's had variations of different evolutions. Like I had just posted a video of the evolution of Casper to 2020, the last time he was seen publicly. That's funny. So, yeah, he's just gotten better and better with his design and stuff. But, to me, I've always liked the OG where he has the little feet and stuff.
Yeah.
Movie, I loved him with the tail. And then they wanted to make a second movie, but it just didn't work out with like Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman with, their filming, I think, or something. So all of the ideas for the second Casper movie, they spread it around the 90s series of the Spectacular New Adventures of Casper, and they had, Casper still with his tail and stuff like that. But yeah, Casper has been like a big comfort for many people. He started off drawn as a comfort, and then he became like the biggest comfort for me. And it's just amazing on how I'd never expect something like this to happen for, a little girl that just wanted to be seen and loved. And I want to be that voice for people who feel the same way, but I just need the right people to see me so that I can be more out there. Yeah, I'm still trying my best.
Don't want to be all ghostly like Casper. Although it's really funny the puns you can actually make um with Casper the Ghost. It reminds me a bit of you know how they say how the joke goes with for example John Cena from wrestling, that they say you can't see him. So I was thinking it would be funny if make a picture of this guy on his birthday and say it's John Cena, you can't see him but it's his birthday, and there's a picture of him. It's just it's just a silly, very dad type of joke. But although I'm not a dad, but I make all those jokes. um so
Here's a
if you
picture of his cake.
that's actually hilarious. If you had to, if I'm not mistaken, so then you said the very first time we saw Casper in a cartoon was 1945. Yeah, so then we actually not that far away from 100. That's actually insane to think about it. That's not far away at all. Oh,
No, it's not.
and
It's
it
crazy.
feels not. It is. Um, that's in less than 20. That's in 19 years. 19 years from now, it's Casper's 100. That's shocking. Yeah, it's when you realize how quickly time flies and how your favorite actors and singers are getting so much older. Just realize how time flies and how you also need to take full advantage of what you can take advantage of when you young. Like for example, with your collecting, you're going full. You are just going at it at full steam, basically, making sure that you can acquire everything, and that is really beautiful to see. And since we're speaking about what is your few favorite items, obviously your out of your list, there might have been one or two items that you've always wanted but could never get or track down. Do you know anything like that or have an idea?
Of things that I've always wanted and couldn't track down. So there's a
Yeah.
there's still a lot of stuff out there that I have no idea exists that I know I need.
Yeah.
So I do have a wish list, but like to me, the coolest stuff to acquire is like props from the movie because the movie made such a big impact in my life. Not just Casper since I was 5 with the OG cartoons, but the movie itself because of my spiritual connection to where um it was filmed and stuff like that. But so there was an auction where they were auctioning out one of the Lazarus bottles from the movie, and
Wow.
So the Lazarus bottle, and that's whenever I always give my husband the face whenever I'm like, there's something up in auction, and I kind of ask, what's my limit? Respectfully. But the Lazarus bottle unfortunately had went past $5,000, and I had to
Wow.
stop because of all of the auction fees and everything that comes along with it. So like that was my one that got away. I really wanted those things because it's such a big part of the movie. So since then, I've been able to make my own. I make my
That's
own,
actually really cool.
and I have lights in the bottom. You can't see it too well. I turned it on right here, so it lights up from the bottom right here, and it makes the liquid light up. But this is the
That's
Lazarus
pretty cool.
bottle. So, that was something that I really needed, and I hope to acquire someday, but not for $5,000, $6,000. But I had started making these, and I actually made some for the cast to sign, the ones that I've met. So I had Cathy
Yeah.
Moriarty sign it, I had Devon Sawa, and finally Christina Ricci. So
Wow.
yeah, that's one thing that I've been wanting. There's like other various vintage things that I still need. There's a Casper cookie jar that's on top of a train. Casper on top of a train. I need that one. And then there's
That's
like my eBay wish list is very high. And it's only because a lot of these people are like overpricing things because of the word vintage. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I've been able to get something from Facebook Marketplace cheaper than eBay. And a lot of stuff that I have, I was able to get a lot cheaper, like $5 versus like they want like $100 for the item. I'm like, dude, y'all, it's crazy on how people price things, and that's the only thing that stops me because I still shop smartly, even though I want everything. I'm like, hey, I have a family. Uh, we gotta live somewhere. So, the money should go to those important things, but it's just crazy. So there's a lot of stuff that's just floating out there that I'm waiting to acquire someday.
Very interesting to hear basically the way you also do your collecting, because it also sounds like you don't go and buy an item purely also for if it's going to be something valuable in the future, but mainly first of your connection with the actual item, and especially buying smart, which many people don't do. Especially me when I first started getting back into Pokemon cards, and my wife was just like, "How many more deliveries are coming?" All the things come, but where it sits, it's a small little shelf, and it's that's what's even more funny. It's like all sitting up on this little shelf, like up here. It was blurred out for some reason. But that's the collecting items firstly because of your connection is what actually makes collecting um what makes collecting special. The people that just buy it for pure intrinsic value, they're not really enjoying it. For example, I love watches, but they just way too expensive to collect if you want to actually buy collectible ones.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of people that buy expensive watches, the person, there's a joke in the watch community world where they say the owner of the expensive watch is actually the safe in the home because the people just leave it in the safe and they never wear the watch.
Yes.
Um, but if you actually want to enjoy it, you need to wear it. It's like, for example, you with your collection. Not saying you need to wear your collectibles, but you get to enjoy it with everyone. Everyone can see it. You're not hiding it away in some dark, eerie room where only you get to go and peek at it at like 2 a.m. at night, very mysteriously. There's some people that do that. There's a lot of people that don't even want their collection seen in the world, and that to me takes away the fun of collecting. but everyone has their own way of doing things. We can't judge them on how they want to do things. We're all human. Like, I always get told by the Pokemon community, why am I keeping everything sealed? Mainly not because I want the value to go up, but mainly because I have a bit of an OCD. When they're opened, it doesn't look so cool. The packaging open doesn't look very nice of a Pokemon box. It just looks very bare.
I hear
Um,
you.
so getting back to your Guinness World Book Record, you have to submit your collection, or does someone like literally just find your collection online or something?
If I were that lucky for somebody to find me, it would be great. But no, I submitted it. It was around COVID time because that's whenever the collection started progressing more and more and more and stuff. So it was 2023 whenever I submitted. I have a friend that I made on TikTok. She's got the world record for the largest Scooby Doo collection, and she's up in Canada. So
That's interesting.
yeah, and she encouraged me. She's like, "How come you haven't sent an email to Guinness about your collection?" Because my collection was like, a good amount of this room. And I was like, no one realizes me or sees me, or I don't think I'm that important. They're gonna, I don't know. I just self doubt. I was like, no. And she was all like, well, I think you should. And she sent me the website. She sent me everything that I need to know and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did it, and I'm so glad that I did because it was like a positive response that I was not expecting. Because they were like, okay, we don't have a category for Casper, but we'll create one for you. How many items do you have now? And here is the requirement. You need 1,000 minimum items that are individually licensed. So, like, no bootlegs, no art pieces, no stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I had to count all my items and I had to ask them specifically how things can be counted, like pogs and collector's cards. Do autographs count? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So oddly, the cards that you need to like buy them individually to collect them all, once you complete a set, it's only counted as one item. Same with the pogs. And I'm like, are you serious? You have to buy all of these separately. At least let me count them individually. So I had to like redo a count because I was counting them separately. And I stopped doing it and sent them the emails like, okay, am I doing it right? And autographs don't count because, I guess they could be faked or something like that. But mine are real. But for some reason
Yeah.
autographs don't count. So I submitted everything, but whenever I first counted, it was only like 830 items. So I was like, okay. And then that was before we went to Japan. We go to Japan yearly because my husband's from there and we get to go and enjoy and be away from America. And I always bring back like at least 100 items of Casper. Like the first time I came back with over 100
Wow.
items because they have a lot of Americana vintage shops there of cartoons or vintage toys and stuff. So I hit up each one, and at first they all knew what I was doing, what I was going for. So they were looking for Casper stuff, and so we bought everything possible. And then stores, they still make new stuff of Casper because they still make stuff of Tom and Jerry there. Like it's a
Yeah.
new thing. So they still make like backpacks, toys, keychains, and stuff like that. So I was able to buy new stuff of Casper too. So each time we go to Japan, I bring back stuff. But that first round was like a lot. So I still didn't have the 1,000. So my husband let me smartfully shop on eBay, more so for like lots that has like more than one item so I can count it. So I got a lot of, different stuff and stuff like that. And I saw a comic book store. They ended up closing, but the guy, he contacted me because I asked him about Casper Comics. And he's like, okay, I have a lot of boxes. I'll come. You could come and I'll give you a deal. So I got like maybe 300 comic books from him. And that helped jump the number because comic books count individually, thankfully. So, uh,
That's, that's, oh, that's fun.
yeah.
So wait. So cards don't count individually, although you're buying them separately. The comic books usually, I'm surprised they never counted the comic books, for example, as the all these comic books were in the same year. So it's like one set of, like, let's say, not 55 comic books or whatever.
Yeah.
So you were lucky enough to count all comic books individually. That brought your number up quite a lot then.
Yes, big time, thankfully. And that's what we were looking for was like stuff that I could buy for like a couple of bucks or up to $5. Like comic books were the
Yeah.
cheapest things to do. So that's why I have a lot. And I still, whenever I don't have, if I find one that I don't have, I'll still pick it up, of course. But I finally made it to over 1,000 items because I wanted some cushion. I didn't want just plain 1,000. I wanted more. So I had to send them like all of the pictures, the proof that I have a big collection. And then they said, okay, so now next you need to have two experts to go and count every single item of the collection. And you have to record them doing it and do a spreadsheet with a picture of the item, the description, the name of the item, where it's located in your
No
picture
way.
photos, in your photo album that you send to them, and where the timestamp that item is on the video of them counting it. Oh, that spreadsheet took 2 weeks to do. No, thankfully it only took my experts like an hour and a half to count my stuff. Because imagine if I had more. But the experts had to be experts of what you were collecting. And thankfully, I have friends here that own a vintage toy shop named Gigi's Emporium. And Ty and Evelyn came and they were able to count everything. And then I needed someone of like authority, like a lawyer or cop or something like that. Also, it's weird. I'm like, why that? So thankfully, my friends had a friend that's a policeman, and he came and he had a clicker, and and he helped count everything. So it
So
was a fun
you
day.
had a policeman with a clicker clicking every time an expert counts an item. So from when you initially put your submission through to when you got your world record, what do you think the duration of time was?
It was around 3 months because that was the minimum amount of time to wait, the waiting period. It was either going to be around 3 months, or if you wanted to expedite it for a faster answer, you could pay them $1,000. And I was like, after all of that, I'm going to be patient because $1,000 can buy a lot of Casper stuff. And my husband was this
Yeah.
close to wanting to pay it because he also worked hard. He's the one who recorded all of the experts doing the counting. He helped me with the spreadsheet. He helped with a lot of stuff and upload the evidence onto the website and everything. So he was like, I just want to have it already. And I'm like, well, let's just wait because that's just a lot of money. So we
Yeah,
waited,
that is.
and so it was like February 9th, and I remember specific dates because whenever it's a good or bad thing, I'm like, I remember the dates. So it was February 9th. I remember before my late grandpa's birthday, I got the Guinness email. I saw it was from Guinness World Records, and I was scared to read it because I was like, after all of that, what if they say it's not good enough or whatever, whatever? I had my husband read it and he got excited. He's like, "Oh, congratulations! You have the Guinness World Record for Casper." I was like, "Oh my god!" 6 a.m. The first thing we read, and I was like, "Oh yes!" Oh my gosh, I was just so happy.
So that's quite a journey, and I never knew. I don't think a lot of people know the entire journey you need to go through just to document that. Obviously, it also depends on what you are submitting. Pretty sure if you, I'm pretty sure if you just submit that you have the old biggest ball of wool or yarn or whatever, that's going to be much easier to document than obviously all your collectibles. And
Yes.
you indirectly actually answered one of the other questions, which is how much support you actually get from your family for collecting, because clearly it sounds like your husband is a massive supporter at what you actually do, which is amazing to hear.
Yes, he definitely is. I'm very thankful for him. I can't say that I'm completely useless. I'm a mom and I'm a wife. That's a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I do all of that and he takes care of us, financially and stuff. And in Japan that's how it is too. The wife stays home and stuff like that. So he's a traditional in Japan and stuff. But, I like to do events where I get to bring in money selling the jewelry I make, or I got paid to do an event called Paranormal Fest here where I was able to bring a lot of Casper items to show and talk about Casper. So I do get opportunities, and the certificate does bring in money whenever I'm given that opportunity. But of course,
Yeah.
whenever I have my traveling Casper museum, I don't take my actual stuff. I have duplicates. I have suitcases of duplicates because a lot of stuff gets donated to me, and I sometimes get an opportunity to buy things for a cheap price that I already have, and I'm like, well, this is beneficial because I get to take it along with me to show it to people, and it's not part of the actual Guinness collection. But, we compromise on things. I support him with his hobby. He flies drones. He's a drone pilot and he brings in money with that too. And my little boy, he's my biggest cheerleader. He supports me so much with everything. And he adores Casper too, of course. Different reasons than I had growing up because my son gets lots of love, but he just loves everything about Casper. He's friendly. He's a good guy and stuff. And he wants to be just like Casper. And that's just something I wanted him to know about too, and a lot of people also. It's like be friendly, accept people, be kind to them and stuff. So it's great. And I have supportive friends around me that they'll send me links like, "Hey, do you have this or do you have this?" And it's like everyone's like favorite thing to do, like to find something I don't have. So it's been
Well, that
wonderful.
obviously helps.
Yes, it's been wonderful, and I was just really glad that before my grandmother had passed away, I was able to show her my certificate. She was extremely proud of me. My grandpa is had always my grandpa also had always been like my drive, even though he had passed away in 2018. I still feel him around. I still feel his love and his drive, his support. He always knew that, I'd do something special or something like that. And he supported me as a child by buying me all the Casper VHS tapes. And, he liked the guy too. So,
Yeah.
you know, I always credit my grandparents as like my biggest supports and stuff like that. And I wrote all about it all in my book. I wrote my first book and it's called Kindred Spirits, and
And what's
it's
it
my life
about?
story. It's my life story of how Casper impacted me since a young age. It's got my paranormal experiences, and it's got a lot of stuff that happened to me throughout the years. It's like what my friend Tammy told me, that I've been through the ringer. That's what you'll basically see in this book, but like all of it led me to, who I am today, and what I try to stand for is, the goodness. Even though I've been dealt with so much bad, but a lot of people before I wrote my book, they told me that I should write it because I tell my story a lot, and they said it was very inspirational. And then after people had read this book, they would reach out to me, total strangers too, on Instagram, saying how much my book motivated them and inspired them to not give up, and it helped them out so much. And I'm so glad that my story can help other people. And that's what I want to continue doing out there. And thankfully, my hardworking husband, supportive, as supportive he is, he translated my book in Japanese.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
actually amazing. Where
yeah.
can a person buy the book?
So they used to be available on Amazon, but Amazon is very wrong for what they do. They like brought down a lot of self-published authors. I guess because if their books had something to do with paranormal or something, I don't know. They did not give me a reason, but they took down my account and they said I cannot make another account to publish my book. And I'm like, so now I'm trying to look for another way to publish them, but I do have a suitcase full of copies. So from right now, people just message me if they want one. They could buy one off me. I could sign it to them and stuff. But until then, that's the only way to get them. But I need to look for another way to at least get them made again, because there's a lot of people we know in Japan, so that's why I got it in Japanese. And of course, my in-laws, all the family over there, they want to read it too. All the people, the toy shops that I would buy from, they know my story. They know, they knew me before getting that, and now every time I go, they treat me like a celebrity, and it's amazing. It's funny. I'm so loved and seen in Japan. I was even on Japanese national TV, and I'm like, "Hey, America, look what you have here." And you just ghost me, you ignore me, you kind of just gloss over me. All these other record holders, all these other collectors that are not record holders, influencers and stuff. It's the following or something, or you have to look a certain way or act a certain way. It's like, some people's stories are worth hearing, worth seeing, and
Yes.
are inspirational and can help people. And that's what I'm stressing on. My goodness, America.
Well, perseverance always pays off at the end of the day, even when sometimes it looks like it's not going to happen. Then that weird moment just pops in, and then you're like, where did that come from? And there's a lot of things that happen like that. I've always noticed that when you think things are completely bleak, and then the best thing happens out of nowhere. But you kind of do need the bad days to actually know when you have a good day, or you won't know if it's a good day. Just also going back to your book, the cover is a really beautiful cover. I have to say, well done on that.
Thank you. It was taken
Also,
in a
yeah,
cemetery.
I've taken pictures at a cemetery, and you can see the outlines of spirits, and it looks extremely creepy. I'll actually send you a few photos of it. When I look back at it, I was like, wow, that's creepy as hell.
Yes,
But
please.
it's yeah. And another thing that I'd like to but basically a closing question, which is, you already have the Guinness World Book Record, but what keeps you basically going on? What keeps you collecting more and increasing your collection?
The love of Casper. Like he deserves so much praise. Just like my passion, my love and dedication for him. I just want to keep going and stuff. Like that's just it. It wasn't the end goal, it's a milestone. I'm going to keep
Yeah,
going and going and going. Why stop at 1,153 whenever right now I'm over at 1,800? I want uh 2,000 items soon. I already told my husband that 2,000 items is a goal for this year, if not sooner.
yeah,
But just the love and passion for him that I have, and plus, I feel like the world needs to know, like whoever's willing to listen and see and stuff like that, the message that Casper would always bring, the OG cartoons and then the movies and stuff like that. The world needs more people that can accept you and love you and not bully, be there for you and stuff. Be kind, be friendly. That's what I try to get out there for people. And also, I want to advocate for like mental health, because it was because of my trauma that led me to seek comfort in a ghost.
yeah,
The ghosts were there more than people were. Not just Casper, but like, the spirits that I would see since a child. That's why I don't fear them. And even growing up, I was always told, don't fear. I think it was my great grandma that had said, don't fear the dead. It's the living that will hurt you. And I advocate for that 100%. My book, it's all the living that hurt me. There's my paranormal stories, but they did not hurt me. So there's that. But I just love passionately sharing my story of what brought me to Casper. And I love hearing people's stories also of how nostalgic Casper is for them growing up. We all, us who grew up in the 90s, we love the 90s Halloween and stuff like that, the nostalgia of that. And Casper is a huge part of that. And it just reminds them of happy times, of childhood and stuff. And like, I've noticed that Casper, he does connect people and he brings people together, because he's brought people to me. I've been able to connect with people thanks to him. I thank him for like a lot of stuff. I thank him for giving me a voice to be seen. And I thank Guinness for that too, because without this, no one would be talking to me now. And, I would just be a girl that collects Casper, a girl that loves her ghost, and just like a lost little girl that carries this little guy around like nothing. But there's just so much meaning to Casper. I just everyone who's involved with bringing Casper to life and the movie more especially, they're all my heroes, and I loved telling the cast that whenever I met them. When I met Christina Ricci, that was my ultimate goal, my ultimate dream come true, and I cried hysterically. It was amazing, but it was wonderful. And a big blessing was, meeting Cathy Moriarty, and we both like just connected. Like it was like a family connection. And she's still a very dear friend to me to this day. I still get to see her. I get to text her, talk to her. And she's just a wonderful, wonderful person. And she's just like the best, the best. And she loves me as a person, not I'm not just like a fan and stuff. And it's just so meaningful. She's just the best. She's so wonderful. I do not take her friendship for granted, or I do not take advantage of her at all, even though people are like, oh, send her this script, or do this. I'm like, no. And she has Cameo, and I always want to pay for a Cameo, even though she tells me, message me and I'll send you a video. I'm like, no, I don't want to take advantage of you that way. She appreciates that about me. I truly do love and adore her. And I love being able to talk to Joe Napolti, Uncle Stretch, and he really is amazed by my collection. The first video from Cameo, he said, my collection belongs in the Smithsonian. And I agree. We'll see about that. That would be great. But I'm hoping, that he'll get to come see it, or any of the cast, if I can get them to see it. I would love for Brad Silberling, the director, to come see it. Casper was his first movie he ever directed, and it's made a big impact in my life. I would love for him to know about me. I've tagged him so many times on Instagram, but again, ghost. But
To go the
yeah,
old school route, send an email.
I've tried. I've found old emails on Google, and like they're not legit. And I'm like, "Oh my god." So, I don't know how to reach him, and I'm not gonna ask any of the other past actors to, like, contact him for me, because again, it's like taking advantage. I'm like, "No, I don't wanna do that. I'm gonna try my best." But this was so wonderful, and thank you for including me and Casper on collectibles.com. Appreciate it.